Hey guys, does the tiara take away from my masculinity? Honest question. Guys, welcome to another informative episode of the Comic Book University. This is your host, Professor Bill. Let's get started. We're talking about right here Sensation Comics #1. This is the second official appearance of Wonder Woman. Now, the first appearance was actually here in All-Star Comics #8. That was the first appearance, and she was just kind of like a buried story. I mean, the Spectre's in there, Hawkman's in there, all these other characters are in there where it's like, okay, cute, and then buried way at the bottom, there's the story which would later be retitled in the omnibus version, introducing Wonder Woman. But the title originally didn't even have a name. But that was the original comic, and you kind of know that story all the way up until she's allowed to leave Paradise Island, Themyscira, with Steve Trevor, who was wounded. Well, Sensation Comics #1 was published the very next month. This is January 1942. January 1941 is when All-Star Comics was released. But now here we are the very next month, January 1942, Sensation Comics #1. And one of the stories that's in here is the Wonder Woman story. Now, we start off with Wonder Woman rushing in her invisible plane back to America for the first time for her, because Steve Trevor's wounded. He's got all bandaged up and whatnot, and she lands and she decides to hide her plane in a barn. I want you to really think about what I just said now. She's going to hide her invisible plane in a barn. Now, mind you, Steve Trevor is the very first male who Wonder Woman has ever met. No men are even allowed to Themyscira. So he's delirious and he's waking up a little bit and he says, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You're a beautiful angel." And Wonder Woman swoons and says, "Oh, that's the first time a man ever called me beautiful." You don't really have a lot of options out there, lady. I mean, come on, I'm just saying. So she drops him off in an army hospital, and, he's got to get better and whatnot, and she goes out to kind of, kill some time, because she doesn't want to be answering any questions. Now, she's in her full Wonder Woman garb, and she's out there, and, a bunch of old women are calling her a hussy and things like that. Yeah, no joke, because, she's declothed, and she doesn't seem to let it bother her. Now, there are a lot of inconsistencies in this comic because they were trying to tell one story and they weren't trying to think too much about reality and certain, what you and I would just consider common sense things. Case in point, she does a little window shopping and she sees a nice outfit there. It's called a frock, all right? I'm a guy, I don't know what the heck a frock is, but it's a frock. So she's looking at this frock in the window and she says, "Wow, these non-Paradise Island type people, they add so much material to their clothing. It's wild to me." Okay, well, apparently we have these things called seasons that you don't on Paradise Island. So yeah, we kind of need a little bit more material sometimes. 2, she actually calls it a frock. How does she know what a frock is? You can't tell me that they have frocks on Paradise Island. So I'm still calling the old Paradise Island because of the Wonder Woman TV show. That's how I got introduced to Wonder Woman. But yeah, on Themyscira, they don't have frocks. They couldn't possibly have frocks because you just got finished saying they use so much material. What, do you have a material-less frock in Themyscira? Come on. So these bandits show up and she's got to do a little beat down on them and she gets to play a little game of bullets and bracelets with them, and then she plays catch with them and toss them into each other. So the police come and they want to ask her some questions, but she books it out of there really quick. And she says, "Yeah, I'll give all my answers on the next episode of Quiz Kids." What satellite stations exactly do you get on Themyscira that the local television programming? You're walking around like you don't know nothing. This is what I'm talking about, the inconsistencies. They really just don't think too much about what it is that they're doing here. So, yeah. So anyway, this real shady guy comes up, and he's one heck of a shyster. He comes up, and he starts doing his little huckster routine to her, like, "Hey, I want to get you on the show." But first they show that she's able to run at 60 miles an hour, which is, cool. It actually takes a long time to explain all that, which is weird. Just First he's going 35 miles an hour. Now he's going 50 miles an hour. Now he brings it all up to 60 miles an hour. Okay, can you just say that she can run 60 miles an hour? We don't need all this. So she does her bullets and bracelets act on the big stage. I'm not sure if it actually goes on TV or not. They probably retconned it later that it did. But in the meantime, whatever. She makes a lot of money. The guy tries to steal her money when she's getting ready to go back and visit Steve because apparently he's out of his coma now. So she's got to jump out a window and beat him up now because he's a thief. Darn it. So puts him on a clothes hanger, actually one of those little climbing pegs for the telephone poles. And then she goes and beats feet over to see Steve. There seems to be a problem, though. She's not able to get in there because, well, I don't know why. There aren't any guards or anything. It is an army hospital, but I guess she just doesn't want to be answering any questions. So she sees this one woman, so much coincidence here, crying on the front porch. Her boyfriend just got moved or transferred down to South America, and she wants to go too, but he doesn't have enough money to bring her down there, and whatever. So she's crying her eyes out. And she says, oh, well, if I could take your place as a nurse here, since you're obviously a nurse here, I'll pay for your ticket because I got some money, and we'll just switch identities. You basically sell me your credentials because I'm a trained nurse back in Themyscira. So she's like, oh, okay, well, my name's Diana. My name's Diana too. Wow. But her last name is Prince, so Diana Prince. That's where she got the name from. It was in this issue, guys. So she goes in there and she's just swooning at the idea that Steve keeps on referring to as a beautiful angel. Even though he doesn't recognize her as her, still the idea that, in the temporary delirium once in a while or in reminiscing, he'll say a beautiful angel. And that's getting old now, Steve. It's getting old. Anyway, she leaves a newspaper in there that shows that it's going to be some kind of bombing at a local military camp. So he gets out of there, not supposed to. And military is okay with it. Air Force is cool with it for some reason, whatever. And he's going to do this one-man solo mission to stop this bomber guy who's supposed to drop a poison gas bomb on the local camp there. Anyway, it doesn't quite work because it's built like a fortress, and Wonder Woman has to come by and do the stopping. And yeah, they uncover a plot that there's actually going to be more of these guys coming, but the secret base has been moved and there's no way to figure out where the secret base is. But fortunately, Wonder Woman had enough foresight to tell her mother to scry on the magical sphere and find out exactly where the secret base is. So, hey, they know exactly where the secret base is. Surprise! And they go there and beat a bunch of people up. One of the guys looks like Hitler, but it's not Hitler. It's not. And they go up and they find the leader of the guy, and the leader doesn't look anything like Hitler, so the guy that looked like Hitler was just a doppelganger for the real, I don't know. Anyway, so they beat the guy up and save the day, and now she's an army nurse, and he's this dude. Oh, his leg gets broken when he's there, so he's got to go back to the hospital again. So apparently he's just going to stay in the hospital for the entire run of the series so that she can keep being an army nurse, and he could keep on being an army patient thing. By the way, I know it's Air Force, but Air Force was, long story short, just in a nutshell, for simplicity's sake, it was essentially a part of the United States Army for a very, very long time. So it only in the past several years did it actually become its own entity. So when I keep on saying Air Force and Army, it's intentional, including in the books. So guys, that's basically the story. This is the second actual appearance of Wonder Woman. Now, the reason why I'm doing this one issue, just surprise, is because ComiXology is actually giving this comic away for free. It's part of Amazon. Amazon is doing a thing. It has nothing to do with anything else. She's the Amazon princess. This is Amazon. And this is also the 75th anniversary, not today, but now is the 75th anniversary of Wonder Woman. So ComiXology, part of Amazon, is giving away this comic for free. And they got a whole bunch of other comics that are only 99 cents. I'm not going to get too detailed into the thing because they're not paying me for this. So, it's not so much a free advertisement for them, but it is a freebie for you guys. So by all means, free is a good thing. Go and grab this comic. It's not the whole comic, unfortunately. If it were the whole comic, which they seem to have indicated that it would have been, The first official appearance of Mr. Terrific is in there also, and I will be doing a Mr. Terrific video fairly soon, but in the meantime, it would have been nice if that were a part of this package, but only the Wonder Woman story is. But regardless, free is free, right? So beggars can't be choosers. So go get your free comic. Guys, this is Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.